Here at Cork and Fizz, I'm all about helping you discover new wines. Yes, I know it's easy to just continue to buy your favorite bottle, but I have to tell you, you're missing out. Did you know there are over 10,000 different grape varieties and over 65,000 wine producers worldwide? Trust me, there are so many more delicious wines out there for you to try, and your next favorite bottle is just waiting for you to find it. In an effort to encourage you to try something new, I'm bringing back my free summer wine challenge. That's right, it's free. Head to the link in my show notes, corkandfizz.com/summer wine challenge to sign up. This challenge will last 6 weeks, and during that time, all I ask is that you try 6 new wines and fill out a simple tasting form on my website for each one. I'll also be sending you exclusive weekly emails with recommendations for regions and wines to explore. Plus, you'll have access to not one, but 2 free live virtual tastings where you get to learn about and taste wine with me and fellow challenge goers. If you successfully taste and record 6 new wines in the 6 weeks, you'll receive a class pass, which gives you access to a virtual tasting party of your choosing with my tasting club, the Cork Crew. Plus, everyone who completes the challenge will be entered to win a free 1-year membership to the Cork Crew, with one lucky winner being chosen at the end of July. We start June 19th, but you can sign up anytime between now and before the challenge ends on July 30th. Head to the link in my show notes to join me. Oh, and did I mention it's free? Interested in learning about wine, but not sure where to start? You're in the right place. Welcome to the Cork and Fizz Guide to Wine podcast. I'm your host, Haley Bowman, and I'm so glad you're here. I'm a wine enthusiast turned wine educator and founder of the Seattle-based wine tasting business, Cork and Fizz. It is my goal to build your confidence in wine by making it approachable and lots of fun. You can expect to learn everything from how to describe your favorite wine to what to pair with dinner tonight, and so much more. Whether you're a casual wine sipper or a total cork dork like myself, this podcast is for you. So grab yourself a glass and let's dive in. Welcome back to the Cork and Fizz Guide to Wine podcast. If you're new here, hello, so glad to have you. And for those that have been listening for a while, welcome back. Today, you will be enjoying part 2 of my interview with Desirae Ballard. So if you're new, please pause this podcast, go back and listen to the first part of this podcast where you'll hear all about Desiree's background, how she came to being just a worker to a manager to the owner of a wine bar in Kirkland, Washington, how she kept it alive during the pandemic, and learning about how she chooses her wine to go in the wine shop. Then you can come back to this episode where you will learn her tips for shopping at a small wine shop and learning why she thinks it's worth a couple extra dollars to spend at a small wine shop versus going to your local Costco or QFC grocery store, what have you. As a friendly reminder, Desirae is the owner of the Grape Choice wine store and wine bar in downtown Kirkland. Again, if you're not in the Seattle area, think like Eastside Seattle. I know Seattleites are going to hate me for saying that, but I think it helps picture where it is. Desirae used to be a stay-at-home mom. Then she started working at the Grape Choice way back in 2008, and just recently in April of 2023 purchased the wine shop, but she's been the manager there for a very long time and running the place. So she knows what she's doing, and it's really cool to learn from her. So I'm going to shut up so you can listen to this episode and learn some tips from somebody who owns a wine shop. And hopefully after this, you will feel more confident walking into your local wine shop, whether it's the Grape Choice or somewhere wherever you live. All right, enjoy. But all right, let's talk a little bit more about shopping at a small wine shop. I feel like this is the perfect time for those that some people are it is intimidating. It can feel intimidating. I know the world of wine does this, but that's what we're here for, and we're trying to change that. So one of the things I hear a lot is that many folks think that wine is more expensive at a small wine shop. Is that true? Could somebody find, if they're on a budget, could they find a good bottle of wine at a small wine shop?
If a small wine shop is doing their job right, yes, absolutely. I think if you're not, like, again, catering to the masses and if you're excluding people because of your own tastes or your own notions about what a wine store should be, then you're going to be limiting yourself. But I will say this about pricing wine in a wine shop. It is likely that you're going to pay a dollar or two more than like a grocery store, but don't forget that that grocery store has so many other products that they're selling to make money off of. And the markup on wine is actually a lot smaller than you think it is. Markup on food is going to be probably double or more than what a markup on a wine bottle is. So, yes, I might charge a dollar or two more than, say, QFC, but like you said earlier, I've tasted them all. And I know that they're not allowed to taste at QFC. You know, they've got one guy at corporate doing all of that, and he's making the choice for a lot of stores. And then each store gets a little tiny piece to themselves that they can choose what they want so that they have a little bit of an ownership there. You're not going to buy the least expensive car that's going to be unreliable. You're going to spend a few more $100 or $1,000 to get one you can count on. So I think that that dollar or two more is really not even enough. We probably could go a couple more over it. But also say you're not going to see sales really in a wine store because we don't have the infrastructure to continually change the pricing on things like they do in a bigger store with all of those, like I said, back end and people that can input all these things. It takes time to do stuff like that. So we mark it up and it stays. Whereas a grocery store might mark it up and say, this bottle's $24.99, but it's on sale for $19.99 when I'm just going to have it for $19.99 or $21.99. There's no haggle there. So, we'll give a discount if you buy a quantity versus this puts on sale Washington Wine Month or things like that. So the pricing is consistent versus going up and down. So you can always expect that same $20 bottle of wine to be $20 here.
Yeah. Oh, I think that's like a really great way to put it. And when we talk like on a budget, just to kind of like get it out there of like, could somebody come in with under $15 and find a good bottle of wine?
Absolutely. Do I have a lot of them? No. And you know why? Because remember my rule, it has to taste good. So I have a lot of $15 bottles of wine. Getting under that gets more difficult in the red wine category when you're trying to find quality. Also, I think we don't rep a ton of brands that you can find at Costco or QFC because you can find them at Costco or QFC. And in Washington, the laws are different than other places too, where Costco can sell you a big name wine for markedly less than what I can because they're buying it by the pallet. I can buy it by the case and get a little bit of a discount, but generally I'm buying things in 2 or 3 bottles. So I get no discount for buying 1 or 2 bottles for the shelf. That's where the difference is when you're looking at, well, under $15 bottles of wine, they're mass produced wines being sold to these big places. So it gives a false impression of what wine really costs. Because Costco can make 10% margin on a bottle of wine because they're selling 100,000 times more than I am. So yes, I have a lot. And what I drink at home are $15 to $20 bottles of wine. So yes, I look hard for the good ones.
I love it. Yeah. I think my favorite, I feel like the sweet spot is like $15 to $30 is like where most of my wine falls. And then it's like a splurge to go out of that. Just a quick reminder, if you are not on my mailing list yet, what are you waiting for? I would love for you to join. When you do, you'll get a free shopping guide that has 15 of my favorite wines under $15. Head to corkandfizz.com, scroll down to the bottom, and there'll be a little section where you can join the mailing list. I send out a weekly newsletter filled with wine tips, recommendations, special offers, and so much more. Now, let's get back to the show. Okay, now how about we're getting kind of towards the end. What advice do you have? So somebody is listening to this and they're like, okay, I do want to visit a small wine shop. If you're local, go check out the Grape Choice, absolutely over in Kirkland on the east side. But for those that are listening wherever and they want to visit their local wine shop, what advice do you have for them, walking in and how they can get a good bottle of wine? What things should they say? What should they look for?
I really like saying that I'm like a matchmaker But so if you think about it like that, if you go in and you're like, do your online ad for what are you looking for? Do you like long walks on the beach, or, do you like tannins? Do you like juicier? Do you like blueberry? You don't have to know the words, but because anybody who's in this industry will understand what you mean when you say bright or lighter bodied. Or if somebody says to me, I like this wine that is a mass produced wine that we've all heard of, and I don't want to call anybody out, but I can get you something that tastes the same or better for the same price or close. So
Yeah.
don't be shy about using words that you think you don't sound smart. It isn't about how smart you are. It's about how are you going to convey it to the person that you're trying to ask a question. So I usually drink Pinot Noir from Oregon, but I'd like to try something different. Okay, great. Do you like something on the fuller bodied side? Do you like a cherry flavor in your wine? What is it about Oregon Pinot Noir that you like so much? And then that will help me maybe find you a Nebbiolo or something. So don't be ashamed of what you currently drink when you go into a wine store. We have all drank it. Like I said, I drank all the Yellowstone.
Yes, I think it's important to one, you it does help to talk and then recognize that when you're asking these questions, when you're asking for help, nobody is judging you. I guarantee almost everybody who works in a wine shop is so excited that you are asking them for help. Like you said, you're a matchmaker. You probably get so excited when somebody comes in and says, okay, I kind of like this, I kind of like that, but I want something new. What could you find for me? And I feel like any wine professional is just like, ooh, yay, adventure. I get to try to find something for you.
We don't own a wine store because we hate selling you wine. We want to come in. We want to talk about wine. It's something we're passionate about. And if you are timid about going into a wine store, I think people find wine intimidating in general because it is a really big category of wine. Walking around can be uncomfortable. I mean, when I walk into a Total Wine and More, I get sensory overload. It's just not for me. That's too much. I'd rather be in a small place where I can kind of just peruse. And I do think putting up the tags and having people be able to self-shop is important, because you can tell when somebody walks in whether they want to talk or not talk or ask a question. And if you want to self-shop, and there's great apps like Vivino that you can take pictures of labels and self-shop. I'll have people in here for hours just kind of perusing and trying to like decide on just one bottle for their dinner that evening, because they don't drink very often. So if they're going to drink, they want to know the research needs to show for them. So if you want to come in here and say 0 words to me and buy a bottle of wine, that's fine. If you want to come in and talk about all the different regions of Italy, let's do that too. So
Yes. And like you said, like you want to sell them wine. Your goal isn't to like make the most money on the sale either. I think that's important that like I think a lot of times we're used to like when we walk into a clothes shop and everybody tells you, here's all the sales going and here's this and how can I help you? And it can be very overwhelming. And more so in a wine shop, when somebody asks you if you want help or if you need something, it's not to try to sell you something beyond your budget or something you don't want. It's actually
right.
to help you kind of translate because I mean also all the wine labels are in different languages unless it's an American wine. So let us help. And that's all it is. And that's the other thing too, is I tell people when they're shopping a lot of the things that you said, plus then just give them your budget. And then that way they'll stay within that and not go beyond.
Exactly. Just be honest about what you're looking for. And like I said, it's a matchmaking situation. You're looking for a $15 bottle of wine that is luscious. Like I got that for you. You want a $100 bottle of wine that's going to age? I got that too. But just tell me what you want and we can get you. I always just give people 3 choices between what they're asking so that they also don't feel overwhelmed with information. So I'll give them, one that sounds like what they're asking for, something a little bit outside of that, and then maybe something that maybe for $5 more, they can try that one.
Yeah, I think that's perfect. Okay, we're getting down to our last little speed round, but I have one last question. I always like to know what's next for the grape choice? Is there anything new and exciting on the horizon for you? This podcast is sponsored by VoChill. When you're enjoying a glass of wine, temperature matters. And you don't need to be a wine expert to know this. You know this the minute you realize you forgot to put the bottle of wine in the fridge, and now you're stuck with lukewarm Sauvignon Blanc that is the opposite of refreshing. You know adding ice cubes will just water the wine down, but it seems like it's your only option. Not anymore. I want to introduce you to one of my favorite wine gadgets, VoChill. This gadget is as simple as it is elegant. It will keep wine perfectly chilled in your own wine glass. No more clunky metal or plastic tumblers or ice in your wine. While this gadget is an absolute must during the summer months, I don't enjoy wine without it from June to September. It's also incredibly useful for those days when you're craving a glass of white or rosé, but you don't want to wait for the bottle to chill in the fridge. VoChill offers a stemmed and stemless chiller in multiple colors, so you're bound to find one that's perfect for you. They also make the perfect gift. I should know, I got one for my mom at Christmas a couple years ago, and she loves it. Head to vochill.com, that's VOCHILL.com, to get your perfect wine chiller, and don't forget to use code CORKANDFIZZ for 15% off your order. This podcast is sponsored by the Cork Crew Virtual Wine Club. Interested in trying new wines, but not sure where to start? Or maybe you've been listening to this podcast for a while and you love the idea of tasting wine live with me. If that's you, come join my Cork Crew Virtual Wine Club, and you'll get to sip wine with me twice a month while I help you find new favorite wines. The Cork Crew is not your ordinary wine club. This is a community of people who are passionate about exploring new flavors, learning about different wine styles, and having fun along the way. And the best part about this club, purchasing the wine is completely optional. Plus, all events are recorded, and you have access to the full library of recordings as a Cork Crew member, so you can always catch up if you can't make it live. Oh, and did I mention it's virtual, which means you get to do all of this from the comfort of your sofa in your PJs. No need to worry about driving in crappy traffic, finding a designated driver, or spending an arm and a leg on a taxi. Want to give it a try without the commitment? You're in luck. Right now, I'm offering a free class pass to anybody who wants to try out the Cork Crew Virtual Wine Tasting Club. With this pass, you'll be able to join a Cork Crew event of your choosing. No strings attached. I don't need your credit card. I don't need you to sign up for anything. You'll be my guest. Simply head to corkandfizz.com/free class pass to get your class pass and be one step closer to becoming a member of the best wine tasting club around, the Cork Crew. I can't wait to see you there. Now let's get back to the show.
You know, I don't like big changes. I don't think anybody here likes it, the idea of big changes. So everything's just little, but we are about to do our second version, which first one was a total test, but I leave on Friday for a wine trip to Spain. And so we're going to kind of video blog that and help people kind of watch a journey through a wine lover's eyes, I suppose, and kind of travel through the country of Spain. So it's nice to kind of have more interaction with people on an educational level. It's something people ask me for a lot. It's an intimidating thing to try to wrap my head around, about trying to educate people about wine, because I do not like to make wine too technical. I like it as a conversation piece more than a scientific. So I would say we'll probably lean more into that because it's something people really are asking for. Not everybody wants it, but the younger people do for sure. So
yeah, and that'll be on social media on the Instagram.
Yeah, I'm not sure how timeline wise what the time zone difference is, but yes, I'll be sending my social media person content every day, and then we'll follow the journey, and all the wines from in Wine Club will be from the wineries that I'm visiting. So it'll be kind of a fun interactive experience if you can taste this wine too at home.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Very cool. Well, yeah, this one, I think this podcast will come out a little bit later, so folks can kind of look back on Instagram and go follow you there. And I'm sure you'll do more in the future, and then also keep an eye out for those wine bottles. But all right, well, we're at the final speed round, and I just call it a speed round because it's one of those where like the questions are, if you think too hard, it'll take forever to come up with the answer. So just whatever pops up first in your brain based off what the question is what I'm looking for. So.
Okay.
Starting off, what is your favorite wine at the moment?
Probably the Can Blau from Monastrell, the $15 beauty from Spain. So,
Ooh, what kind of grape is that?
Mouvet. It's like a blend.
Ooh.
It's a GSM, but from Spain.
Yum. Okay. How about a favorite wine region that you've ever visited?
Oh, hands down, Zigendas actually specifically.
Ooh. That's Southern Rhone, correct?
Yes,
Gigondas?
yeah.
Yes. Like testing me on my geography. I'm like, I know these things. Very cool. What was it that you loved about it?
It was just the cutest town I've ever seen, and I love the wine from that region. I'm a complete Grenache snob. I love it from everywhere, and it was you just walked into like a Disney movie is what it felt like. Everything cobblestones and just flower pots, and I don't know. It was tiny and just so romantic. It was cute.
Oh, I love it. Okay, on the flip side, what is a wine region you'd like to visit?
All of them. I've never been to Italy, so that's high on my list. I feel like it's not okay to own a wine store and have never been to like Tuscany. So I'll have to go Tuscany top, but Bordeaux is super, super high on my list.
Nice. Have you been to other regions oh, you have been to the Rhone in France.
Been to the Rhone in France and like Bandol, like Provence on the one trip. I've been to obviously all of the Washington areas, but Portugal we did last year, and that was a really cool experience.
Yeah, I've heard Portugal is great too. No, it's just so fun to listen to like what regions, because yeah, I'm with you. I'm like, what region? Any of them, whichever one you
Yeah.
will take me to, I will go.
Yes.
Okay, how about a favorite wine and food pairing? This doesn't have to be like the ultimate favorite, just something that comes to mind.
I do love wine and food pairings. I don't do it too often personally because by the end of the day, I just want something that tastes good.
Fair.
But I would say I like white wine pairings with things because I feel like white wines can be so much more than red wines. So any white wine with like goat cheese, like Sancerre and goat cheese or something where it's just like a little acid with like a goat cheese salad with some fruit in there and just something light and easy drinking.
Yeah. Oh, I'm with you. Okay. And then lastly, I used to ask about like wines under $15, but I'm kind of with you on like the idea of like it is a lot harder to find those wines and they are typically more mass produced. And so, with the idea that the whole point of me starting this podcast is to highlight women and other amazing winemakers and people in the world of wine and small businesses, I'm kind of moving away from like the idea of like highlighting, $15 and under. So instead, I'm going to ask, what is a wine that surprised you lately?
Oh man, I get a lot of really cool wines coming through here. There was like a really cool like skin contact Pinot Grigio that came through, and I really am not a huge like it wasn't orange wine, but it was skin contact with no filter, unfiltered. Like generally don't love that style of wine, but I was really impressed with. I think those styles of wines are getting markedly better as they become more popular. So probably that would be the one that comes to mind first.
Yeah, I love it. I asked that question. I love that question because I think it forces you or to think back to like usually it's a style of wine you don't normally like, and then you try it and you go, "Oh, this is good." Right? Like I think it's one of those where like we get it, even as wine professionals, we have things that we don't always like, but we're always willing to try it because we're like, who knows? Maybe it'll be maybe we'll like this one. And it happens.
Yes, it does indeed.
All right. Well, that is the end of my speed round, and thank you so much for joining, Desirae. I had a great time learning about this. Like I said, this is kind of something that selfishly for me is something I could see in my future potentially, and it's always fun to learn what it's actually like and more of that stuff.
Yes, it is an amazing lifestyle. I would say the pay is low, but the perks are high. And if you ever buy it, location, location, location.
Yes, yes. Well, and your location is perfect. So one last kind of promo here for those that are local to the Seattle area. The Grape Choice is over in Kirkland, and it is right on the waterfront. It is so pretty, and it's a beautiful. The shop is large without being too big. I feel like y'all always have so many great options. And you have great seating both inside and outside for enjoying a glass of wine. So if you are around the area, go check out the Grape Choice and grab a good bottle of wine to try. All right. Well, we've made it to the end. Thank you so much, Desiree, for joining me, and hope you have a good rest of your weekend.
Yes, you as well. Cheers.
Cheers. Okay, who's ready to visit their local small wine shop? And if you're in the Seattle area, who's ready to go to the Grape Choice? I think maybe a meetup needs to happen. I don't know. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Cork and Fizz Guide to Wine podcast. If you loved it as much as I did, I would so appreciate it if you could take a quick second, rate it, and leave a review. And of course, share it with all of your wine-loving friends. In next week's episode, we'll be doing a deep dive into wine aromas. We're going to learn exactly where these aromas come from and why the heck wine doesn't smell like grapes, right? I'm going to be telling you all the different, it's going to get a little scientific. We're going to learn some of the chemical compounds and where those come from when making wine. So you can learn why your wine smells like grass or why your wine smells like pineapple, but it doesn't actually have grass or pineapple in it. So you'll want to tune in for that. Thanks again for listening. And if you want to learn more about wine, be sure to come follow me at Cork and Fizz on Instagram. And if you're interested in exploring new wines and joining an incredible community of wine lovers, be sure to sign up for my virtual tasting club, The Cork Crew. Remember, you can get a free pass if you've never joined us before. Just head to corkandfizz.com/free class pass. This will get you a free pass so you can choose an upcoming Cork Crew event to join for free. Did I mention it's free? Okay, all right. Cheers.